Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. A simple saying that sometimes helps me dig deep and find kindness in moments when I'm struggling to locate compassion. The saying is often attributed to Plato or Socrates or a number of other wise minds, but it seems to actually trace back to a minister named John Watson, who was writing fiction under the pen name Ian McLaren in the late 1800s. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. I have a dear friend who has a rich compost pile. She is a member of a CSA, and her family eats a lot of produce, and all the squash guts and carrot tops and onion skins end up in this compost pile. And she keeps two piles. One is compost that is ready for the garden, dark, rich humus, and one is the compost that still needs time and heat and more time. Last week, her husband, his mind likely distracted just like all of our minds are distracted lately, out of sync, out of rhythm, tossed a whole kitchen counter compost container worth of eggshells and apple cores into the ready-to-go compost. And then, in the same distracted state, he mixed it together really well. For those of you that know compost, he set that compost pile back quite a ways. And my friend, who is not much of a crier, was moved to tears. Tears that felt like frustration and anger and grief. And midway through her cry over the careless degradation of the compost pile, she realized that it had snuck up on her. She thought, through all this uncertainty and fear and anxiety and grief, that she was holding it together. But it is there. It's there in every one of our lives right now. Grief over the potential death toll of this disease, but also grief in all the ways that this disease has unexpectedly changed all of our lives so substantially, so quickly. For my friend, it was grief that her children are missing their teachers and friends. Grief that she isn't able to finish out the semester with her own students. And she thought she was holding it together, and suddenly she was crying over compost. I suspect many of us have witnessed this in the last few weeks. Minor inconveniences or slights that feel so magnified when we are all living under this intense grief that we cannot yet even begin to process. And in my head, I've begun to practice a mantra, both for my own reactions and when attempting to offer grace to others. This isn't about the compost. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This isn't about the compost. Once every 2 weeks, a Unitarian Universalist publication titled Braver, Wiser plops in my inbox. They are insightful, timely responses and spiritual reflections. A couple weeks ago, the article Braver, Wiser sent out was titled The Ninth Obstacle by Masters of Divinity student Laura Solomon. If you are not receiving Braver, Wiser, I encourage you to sign up for it. In The Ninth Obstacle, Laura Solomon reflects on an obstacle course mud race that she participated in a few years ago. The race had 8 major obstacles that every participant had to complete. But in addition, she realized that each person brought to the race their own obstacles and barriers. Each person came with a 9th obstacle. The toughest moments are still often a result of our own individual previous experiences. Laura Solomon shared that her 9th obstacle moment of struggle during the race was disrobing in the locker room. For another athlete, it might have been the sick kid who stayed up with it might be the sick kid who they stayed up with the night before, or the shift that they knew they had to go work as soon as the race was over, or a substance abuse issue that's wearing on their body. Laura Solomon ends her article by saying, "That's kind of what's happening right now. COVID-19 has imposed 8 obstacles that we're all contending with, but we each have 9 or more obstacles. You have no idea what anyone else's 9th obstacle or 10th or 11th is. You just know that they have it. We have no choice but to be gentle, excessively, generously, powerfully gentle. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This isn't about the compost. And you have no idea what anyone else's 9th obstacle is. You just know that they have it. we have no choice but to be gentle, excessively, generously, powerfully gentle.